So you're finally going to the gym and you're lifting with weights. That's great and all. But you're starting to feel fatigue all the time and you feel like crap. Continue to watch the video to learn about how to drop fatigue. What's up guys, it's your host with the most, Lord Trunks, back at it again with these fitness daily videos. Today we're going to be discussing on how to drop fatigue and how to manage fatigue. So for you guys who barely started working out or even started working out a long time ago, you guys may experience fatigue. And you know this feeling sucks balls, like your whole body hurts and weights in general feel heavy. If you're a beginner, you're not going to be used to this feeling, you have to accustom to that feeling. And I really can't say anything to you guys on how to drop fatigue because for you beginners, you guys have never experienced that type of stimulus. So it's new for you guys, and I wouldn't, if you're barely beginning, I wouldn't even recommend, thinking of dropping fatigue yet because you're not at that high level yet. Now there is such thing as overtraining, but it's not really a concern for you guys who are beginners and barely started lifting weights. But for you guys who are intermediate or advanced, been lifting for a couple years already, 2, 3, 4 years, or even up, then you guys definitely have to manage fatigue and drop fatigue certain weeks so you can progress overload throughout the weeks and get stronger, because you can't just lift heavy all the time, lift at an intense weight all the time. You have to manage your fatigue so you can have more longevity in powerlifting or bodybuilding or whatever thing you're doing right now, weightlifting, I don't care. So some tips to drop fatigue is pretty simple. I'm gonna give you the first tip, which is dropping volume. Volume is basically how many sets and reps you're doing. If you're intermediate and you notice that you've accumulated a lot of fatigue throughout the weeks, for a month straight you've been working out without taking a deload, then I recommend for you guys to cut down the volume 50% up to 70%. This is individual, it really depends on the individual. Some people respond horribly to dropping down volume. So some people just keep it relatively the same, the volume, probably cut down a couple sets and reps, and that's about it. But for the majority of you guys out there, you guys really want to drop down the volume 50 to 70%, depending on what you're doing and how intense you've been working out for that amount of weeks. So if you've been working out intensely for a couple weeks already, like 5 weeks, 7 weeks, you definitely have to start planning a deload or just dropping the volume down so you can recuperate and your body comes back feeling better than ever, so you can come back hungrier than ever and just demolish the gym and kill everybody. So the second tip of dropping fatigue is going to be dropping intensity. Usually when you drop fatigue, you always want to start with dropping down volume and then intensity. But if you notice that if you respond quite horribly with dropping down volume first, then I recommend dropping down the intensity and keeping the volume relatively the same. But usually volume is a main factor of fatigue. If you do more sets and reps, you're gonna build more fatigue. It doesn't matter if the weight is 70%, 60%. By doing more reps and sets, you're creating more fatigue compared to intensity, which you can relatively lift heavy, but you have to cut down the sets and reps. So if you're planning to deload soon and you really don't want to lose strength at all, or you're actually at your peaking state, then you want to relatively keep the intensity the same, but drop down the volume, drop down the sets and reps by 50 to 70%. Now that's for if you're trying to maintain strength or even optimize strength gains. So if you're planning to drop down fatigue, make sure you cut down in volume first, and then if that doesn't work, then I would highly recommend dropping down intensity, both volume and intensity. But if you're a different responder to volume and you actually respond better to dropping out the intensity and relatively keeping the volume the same, then do that. You really have to experiment. Everybody is individualized, everybody has their personal things with them. Some people don't respond good to cutting down the volume, some people do. Some people respond good to dropping down the intensity. how much weight on the bar, which while others don't. You just have to experiment and do whatever works for you, and just do a lot of trial and error, because I honestly learned all this just by trial and error and going on YouTube and learning. Not everything that I said on this is going to work for you guys. For some of you, a lot of you, it's going to help a lot if you drop down the volume first. But if that doesn't work, then drop down the volume and then the intensity, and that may work. And that you only do that for a week, up to a week. But if you're a bigger individual, I highly recommend taking a deload, maybe even for a week and a half, just because you're bigger and you may be lifting more and you're creating more fatigue because you're bigger and the range of motion of everything is more. I hope this video helped a lot of you guys out. Make sure you comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next fitness video. Lord Trunks! Out. Boom!
Hey, get in my way and try to block me, I'ma show aggression. Slide on your block like Danny Glover with a lethal weapon. I fucked your thought, she gave me top, I guess that's my confession.